Down 2 weeks to go to the Super Bowl.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
Or the big game, as it's known, right? Welcome in on this Tuesday evening, the last of the frigid nights, only 15, 18 degrees. We are going to follow up on what's happening in Newport over the next few nights, no doubt. Those folks are hopefully not freezing. Hopefully they're in one of the reported 11,000 available hotel rooms around the state and the region, and National Grid is footing the bill for all of it. And the gas company that sends the gas is the real culprit, and it's hard to figure the whole thing out. But it's going to be a week to get people back to normal in Newport, and again, we'll follow up on that. Tonight we are kind of light on production, but heavy on guest. And that wasn't necessarily a pun, but he would buy into it. The headline is this. You'll see it a couple of times tonight because it's the only one we have. But we've got a lot to talk about. Andy Gresh, host of the Gresh Show on WPRO weeknights 6 till 9.
Thanks for the fat joke.
Yeah, I really didn't even think it must be just osmosis.
Well, let's bring in the fat guy who can talk a lot. Don't even start. Don't insult me, please.
One shouldn't even talk.
Thank you.
Well,
how amazing is this, huh?
It's getting to the point where now it's not boring to me as a Giant fan, sick of it all. Now I'm just in total awe. It's almost as if, how like senior golfers, they play for 30 years and you lose them when they're 48 and 52, but all of a sudden when they start to really play well at the end, you know that they're squeezing everything out of their career, and all of a sudden they get a new life. It feels like that's what's happening with the Patriots, that this thing was not near dead by any stretch, but there was kind of a feeling like, okay, get yourself psychologically prepared that this isn't going to happen that much anymore, and now it feels almost like a renewal. Am I catching that?
Well, I think what it is that when you go to 8 straight conference championship games, you're not going to go to the Super Bowl every year. So I think that if you look at it through the purview of, if you're in the Final Four in your sport, you're pretty good. You've had a great season, but not every year are you going to have a championship season. Even in hockey, rarely do we see teams that win back-to-back championships. I think the playoffs in all these sports, Dan, are so grueling now that's the part of this that's really being underplayed, is that every year for the last 8 years, they have played at least 2 playoff games, if not more, and that takes a toll on your body. I mean, Tom Brady has played an extra season's worth of playoff football, if not pushing 2 by now.
Because they're playing at a very high level in
no
these playoff
question.
games.
So I think I can understand the feeling in that, well, if you're not going to the Super Bowl every year, 3 in a row is very rare. So,
yeah, but what I'm saying is,
I hear the end cap on it.
I feel a sense of excitement for the Patriots in that, isn't this, I know the turmoil may have been overplayed, and I listened to you about it, but there was a general sense amongst Pats fans this year that maybe this is the beginning of the end, and maybe we don't get there, and oh my gosh, maybe we'll have to play a wild card game
right into the world.
Oh my God, like that. Right now I'd sell half my family for a maybe not my wife and daughter, but the rest of them, for a Giant playoff game.
Because I was going to put you on the spot and be like, which half would you throw out the door?
I'm happy for Patriots Nation in a sense that I'm happier for the Patriots organization that they were able to pull one off. And this is no discussion about a dynasty.
Oh, it's not even
the
close.
Best ever pro football franchise ever.
Ever in sports, period. for as long as it's gone. See, the thing
Like
is,
the Yankees can't compete with that?
well, I think for a period of time. I mean, look, if you have the Yankees in that run from, say, 96 to 01, you're still only talking about a 5 or a 6 year period.
Right.
If we took a 5 or 6 year chunk at the beginning and the end, and even there was that point in the middle with those 2 giant Super Bowls as well, where Brady got hurt. There's a different kind of drama that's sort of in there. For me, Dan, this is sort of version 3 of the Patriots. You had the early run, and then they had to figure it out, and then that 07 to 11 area, and then there was after that. I don't want to say after Hernandez, but they did sort of have to retool their offense a little bit once Aaron Hernandez was out bucking people and got thrown in jail. So it's crazy to think that if you break it out in chunks, this is sort of version 3 of this with Brady and Belichick. And I think that's why people look at it and think, well, Tom Brady's 41 years old. How in the world is he laser pinpoint 3 times on 3rd and 10 in overtime? That shouldn't happen for a person of his age.
Yeah, it's just incredible. It's incredible. This Pats organization, I mean, talking about delivering. This is the 25th anniversary of
Robert Kraft. Yes.
I mean, talking about delivering with the goods.
Well, he also learned a hard lesson in the very beginning with Bill Parcells, and I think every NFL owner goes through it. Daniel Snyder is still going through it in Washington, and there are a lot of owners who get the team. You know, I'm Big Bob with the I know what I can do here, and then it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then they bring in Belichick, who knows what he's doing, and they give him the autonomy to set it up the way he wants to. That's the key, is that whenever there's a decision that has to be made in the organization, it's Bill Belichick to Robert Kraft. There's no intermediaries, there's no go-betweens, and I don't know how well that may settle with Jonathan Kraft necessarily, who's in there, but, you know, he goes right to the top of the masthead. And I think as we've all gotten older in business and learned as well, it makes things a heck of a lot easier when you can go to the guy who's got the checkbook. And for Belichick, it's, you know, I got a lot of credibility here, I'm going to do it. And I think a lot of the times, unless it's seismic, like trying to trade Brady, Robert Kraft's going to let him go do what he wants.
Well, since you're talking about the line of reporting, was there legitimacy at the beginning of the year to this Brady and Kraft having much more of a kinship, that Belichick was kind of on the outs in terms of or was it just a whole bunch of reporting looking for crumbs and making it out to be something huge?
I think there was something there at the end of last year around Alex Guerrero.
The trainer.
Because, well, yeah, the trainer. And for those who don't know, Tom Brady is going to be hawking, you know, stuff on QVC 5 years after he's retired for the whole TB12 method. And because Alex Guerrero had unprecedented access and it started to create a conflict, Belichick did what he had to do, and it goes to show how ruthless that guy can be, because he didn't care that it was Tom Brady. He said, this is wrong, and I'm fixing it.
And what was wrong?
What was wrong was that Bill Belichick allowed Alex Guerrero an office within Gillette Stadium. So Alex Guerrero wasn't just treating Tom Brady. When Gronk had a question, he could go to him. You know, there were as many, at last report, of like 37 players who were using Alex Guerrero in some way, shape, or form, and Belichick made the mistake of letting him get inside the organization and inside the building.
He wasn't on the Pats payroll.
Right, no, he was not. He's a Brady guy. Now, they also have that big TB12 Performance Center up at Patriot Place, so he's not that far away, but when you're in the building, it's, well, I'm going to go ask Alex versus listening to the trainer. Belichick ultimately turned that into a conflict, or it was a conflict in Belichick's eyes. I think, Dan, what they did was they said, Brady, you're great. Here's a nicety. We'll allow your guy in the building, so as soon as you come off the field, you can get your rub down, whatever in the world it is that you were doing. But a lot of guys were listening to Guerrero, and that didn't fly with Belichick. He put the hammer down. I think Brady took it as a sign of, hey, you're messing with my post-football life. Now, I think we all kind of know Brady's post-football life will be just okay. But to him, this is the future for him. And Belichick was messing with it. So I think from a business standpoint, Robert Kraft understands, well, Bill's going to do what he has to do, but he understands the business that Brady wants to build as well. There's no way at some point, Dan, Tom Brady didn't go to Robert Kraft and say, dude, you're a billionaire. How should I set this up? How should I go about doing this?
Right. Well, there's no doubt the affection between the two of them exists on a very high level.
Tom Brady and
The
Bill...
physicality between Brady and Kraft Sr. is apparent.
Brady and Belichick made Robert Kraft not just a billionaire, but a billionaire 6 times over. If Robert Kraft and family had run this organization poorly, the organization now, because of the way the contracts in terms of television have gone up in the NFL, it still would be worth over $1 billion. It wouldn't be worth $3.4 or $3.5 billion. That's the difference. Brady and Belichick have allowed them to amass a net worth that they would have been billionaires. Now they're multi-billionaires. And as we know, as you know, once you get your first billion, you're looking for your second.
Yeah, it just goes with the territory. When we come back, reportedly the country doesn't like this franchise very much. Gresh's got a window to that next. Yes, so of course, we all know that story. Gresh not only has his program weeknights on WPRO, 6 to 9, but also hosts this CBS national sports show. I'm always intrigued about your discussion with the national audience. They just don't like this Patriots franchise very much, do they?
No, they don't. And it's really funny. Here's what I equate
They haven't earned America's team with the rest of the country.
What it is, it's a little bit, and you're a Giant fan, so you feel it too. Oh, these guys again. You know, the whole roll of the eyes. I'm sick of hearing how good Tom Brady is.
Well, you got to admire perfection, though. I mean, this is not something that. I mean, a legitimate sports fan has got to look at this with complete wonderment.
Your head says one thing, your heart says another, right?
Yeah,
everybody hated Derek Jeter. Oh, he's so perfect. He even gives gift bags to women who spend the night. Like, you're like, what is this guy, perfect? I think that's how now it's transferred to Brady, where it's the whole, oh my God, 41, TB12 method. I'm sick of this guy. He looks like a movie star. He's married to one of the most gorgeous women on the planet. People are like, ugh, can't this guy just lose? You know, like no one's sitting there going, oh, that Hoodsworth, that Belichick, you know, he's such a handsome man, and the Linda Holiday and blah, blah, blah. No, it's Tom Brady has movie star looks. He has what athletes of the past have had who are very popular. A lot of people who hate him because he's great on the field and he looks like a movie star. And, you know, I mean, there are times where he dresses up like an out-of-work magician going to some of these things. When he's with Giselle going to the galas and all that stuff. Even that, you know, people are like, hey, you look dumb.
For the most part, with his notoriety, I mean, I think you got to give the guy credit. He has really kept his powder dry.
Oh, look, the greatest thing that Tom Brady pulled off.
Him and Jeter. Jeter kept his powder dry.
Was single Tom Brady. I mean, when you think about 2001, when he all of a sudden became a megastar. And you know, it's funny, after they won the first Super Bowl, and Brady's talked about this, he had people pull him aside. I think it was Belichick and maybe even Kraft. Were like, listen, your life's going to be different from here on out. And now he's about to play in his 9th Super Bowl. So the guy has dealt with the off-field scrutiny, and it hasn't translated in a negative way on the field. But look, Dan, in terms of the Patriots, they're Donald Trump right now, right? So when Trump got elected, oh my God, the Electoral College, what are we doing here? We need to blow it up. How could this happen? People weeping in the street. We had people getting naked in town square screaming, my God, how could this happen with Trump? And then
the correlation is?
Well, because the Patriots won in overtime against Kansas City. So therefore, the wrong team won, so the system's broken.
Meaning the overtime?
Yeah. So overtime's broken, just like the Electoral College is broken. So you have a bunch of people in this country screaming about Trump and the whole how could this happen? And whenever they beat Kansas City, there were a ton of sports fans across the country going, how could this happen?
Well, that's because I think most people, I would think it's because, I don't know, what do I know, but I'm thinking it's because when that coin toss was heads, you just had an inevitability. Was there anybody in the country that thought that the Patriots wouldn't march down and score?
And then it was flawed, even though in the game before, in the NFC Championship game, they went to overtime, Drew Brees got the ball, the Rams made a play on defense and then won the game.
Right.
So it wasn't broken in that game, but it's broken because the Patriots won. I use the Trump-Patriot bias because even if it's good, it's bad because of the name attached to it.
When a league that's really kind of geared offensively, rules-wise, though, is there an imbalance that if a team goes down the field and scores, and scores a touchdown, it's all over? Are the defenses, up to the task of obviously LA was?
Yep.
So it's like too bad.
Yeah, look.
Kansas City looked exhausted. You knew that they were in trouble there. And
Dan, they moved it from sudden death where a field goal could kill you. Okay, fine. I'm down with changing it to a touchdown. If the Patriots had just kicked a field goal and then got a stop, then maybe people would have felt better about it, but it still would have been about, oh, the coin flip so matters so much, and people would have complained because the Patriots won. I have no issue with overtime. We're talking professional football.
You can't play it out like with the NHL, not to advocate, but since we're on, it's an interesting conversation. I understand. I think the rule is absolutely okay on a regular season basis, just like the NHL. We'll play 5 minutes and then have a shootout. But in the playoffs in the NHL, they go and they go and they go and they go.
Triple overtime.
Why not a full overtime? Why not a full 15 minutes and play that quarter out?
Well, think about it from this standpoint. The NHL really doesn't deal with multiple networks. So if they do, it's all within one family. So you're going to say to the people at Fox and CBS, we already have a 3 o'clock start to one game and a 6:40 start to the other to stagger it. Now, if you play a full quarter of overtime, you push it even more. They don't want bleeding over in terms of one game not over.
It's about TV.
And look, the networks pay the NFL so much money. Their player costs and the health coverage for those players are covered with the checks they get from the networks. So the NFL owners have nothing to complain about. And look, controversy creates cash. And I think for the NFL, there's a lot of buzz that they're getting off of people going nuts over this.
Well, thinking about the cash, gambling is legal now here in the state, and reportedly it's going to be surging next 2 weeks. We'll talk about that. And I got a ticket in my own wallet that I can cash. There we go. So really, we haven't even talked about the game itself. Maybe we'll get to that next week. But the gambling on the game itself is skyrocketing nationally, huh?
So
what is that about?
Well, the friends in Las Vegas at the Vegas Sports and Information Network, run by old Uncle Brent Musburger, they did a study on how much money they think is going to be bet on the Super Bowl this year. Now, I have the number in front of me from the Nevada Gaming Control Board. Last year, the handle, which is just the amount of money bet on the Super Bowl, but between the Eagles and the Patriots, was $158,586,934. The win-loss for the books, you ready for this, was $1.1 million. So 0.7% was the profit last year. Now, there have been other years where the profit's been huge. However, the VSiN people think that the difference between 2018 and 2019, they think it's going to go from $158.5 billion or million to $320 million bet across the country legally this year on the Super Bowl. That's an astronomical number. And
that is what? That's the states, that's New Jersey, that's Rhode Island, that's just
everybody,
expansion.
right, Nevada. People still go out for those Super Bowl parties and whatnot. I think Atlantic City will get an uptick because Jersey's in the game now. New York's chasing their trail, trying to catch up because Jersey, since they started, there's been, I think, $1.5 billion bet across the state down there. I think what we're finding, Dan, is that the market was very underserved, clearly, and there are a lot more people who have wanted to bet on sports but didn't want to go to the guy on the corner to do it, but they're willing to do it in a casino where they feel much more comfortable.
I know a few guys, though, who are still talking to their bookies because they just don't want to deal with the lines and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's been a hit. Twin River,
they need the
maybe,
betting kiosks, and they know it.
Just operationally over their skis a little bit. Even the Senate President and the House Speaker were miffed at the State of the State about what they thought was some money going through their fingers. It's growing pains. What are you going to do?
Well, and it's also adapting the app to now. When I say the app, I know that what has been approved for Rhode Island is you can use it on property. I know Senator Ruggiero has said, hey, we need to make it statewide. Okay, well, William Hill has the infrastructure, but you have to scan in your ID. The way they have it set up in Nevada, there's a whole process to it that Rhode Island has got to get with. How do they go about the whole identification on IDs? That's got to get scanned and verified. So if the people at the State House can help make that happen, and maybe you're going to have to get the DMV on board, I guess, to have access to some sort of database to verify. Like, if they can help with that, then let's get that part rolling if they want it done so quick. So I think everybody's got to come together. But in this state, please, it never happens.
The game right now, what's your 12-day away projection?
I'll tell you what worries me about this team, the Rams, is that they have running backs who can really hurt you in both the running and the passing game. And the Patriots had issues with that. Kansas City lost that running back, Kareem Hunt, to his domestic violence issue, and the running game and the running backs were not a factor in the Kansas City game. Now they're going to have to deal with it. And they're going against the coach in Sean McVay. How crazy is this? Tom Brady's 41. Sean McVay, the head coach of the Rams, is 32. He's like Theo Epstein. He's Das Wunderkind. So will Das Wunderkind look at it and say, we're here. I may never get back. I am going to throw everything at them. I'm going to be ridiculously unconventional. And the way Belichick zigs when others zag, he's going to try to do the same. That's what scares me about the Rams. Those running backs and a coach who has nothing to lose.
And a pretty good defensive line, too.
A very good interior defensive line. The Patriots dealt with Dante Fowler when he was in Jacksonville. Jacksonville traded him to L.A. during the year. But Ndamukong Suh, and in particular Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald doesn't look right. And what I mean by that is he's 6'4", he's 290 pounds, and he's probably got about maybe 6% body fat. Like, when you see him, you're like, wait a minute. Like, what? He's a ripping, snorting defensive lineman who's in shape and can go all night long. The Patriots are going to have issues with those guys in the interior, but arguably their best offensive linemen for the Pats are their guards. And those guys are fighters. They're old school. Like, you would see them in Roadhouse, swinging sticks and beating people up. That's Shaq Mason and Joe Tooney. They're going to have to fight those guys on the inside on Super Bowl Sunday.
Well, at the end of the day, you got Brady against Goff. I would take Brady right now.
Listen, Dan, 2 minutes to go, down 4. Would you take Brady and 2 timeouts on the ball and tell him to go operate against anybody? As Kansas City found out, absolutely. I'd sign up for that right now for a great 2 minutes. I do think the difference in this game, though, will be, and why the Patriots have a great chance to win, Belichick pays attention to details. And I wonder if the LA Rams will pay attention to as many details as Bill will. That's always been the difference, in that there's a little something in there where old Hoodsworth has got a plan. And maybe McVay and crew have 85% of it buttoned up, but that 15% is big enough for the Pats to win.
We got 30 seconds, but if they win it, is this it? Is this just it?
No, I think Brady and Belichick come back, although it would be the old Hallmark movie for Lifetime television if Tom Brady started with a win against the Rams in the Super Bowl and ended it with the Rams. I could hear old Giselle being like, Tommy, it's a beautiful story. Walk away, please. Join me in Costa Rica diving naked.
Check out Gresh every night on WPRO. Thanks, pal. Final word, we come back. I could just listen to Gresh spout off on this stuff all night. Kevin, too. I will tell you that we didn't get to many game notes there. We'll try to ring them back in here for the Friday night before the Super Bowl and get down to the nitty-gritty. Something tells me that at the end of the day, 2 weeks for Belichick is probably a week too much. We'll see you tomorrow and on the radio at 3 on WPRO.